Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to CAA Travel Talks, a very special night tonight. We're going to talk all about the most important thing that you're going to pack, and that is travel insurance. So as everyone is joining, I'm just going to give everyone a couple of minutes. And if you have any questions as we're going along the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the little Q&A box at the bottom. We'll be sure to monitor them. And as we go along with each slide, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in and we'll address them as we go along. All right, so it's looking like we have a good few number that have started to join us there, so we'll get started. So tonight we have the CAA team, which we have Carrie from operations, and from Orion we have Lindsay and Nick, and we're here to share some great information with you this evening. So sit back and enjoy. So a little about CAA Travel. So CAA Travel, we have been in business since 1961 as your full service, one-stop shop for all of your travel needs, planning worldwide vacations. Whether you're in North Bay, Thunder Bay, Sudbury, or anywhere of the stores in Ottawa, our travel team are there to help you and do all the heavy lifting to make your journey very easy. Our travel team have all become Travel Smart certified. So that means they've done some extensive training throughout the last few years so that they can, again, make your dreams come true and plan a fantastic trip. So as a CAA member, you are actually eligible for exclusive member benefits that no one else has out in the industry. So when you're booking your cruises or your guided tours, you're going to be getting what we call member benefits. So you're going to get some amenities and benefits that, again, are exclusive to CAA. And of course, there are benefits when you're booking your car rentals or hotel stays with CAA as well. So the CAA Vacations program that we're offering to you, some of the extra perks we've got, like a 24/7 member care and best price guarantee, and the benefits vary whether it's a shipboard credit or pre-nights. It all varies on the travel partner, but there's going to be something exclusive just for you for being our member as a thank you. As a member, you're also going to save an incredible up to 20% off your travel insurance, and that includes your emergency medical, your trip cancellation and interruption, rental vehicle damage, and baggage loss. Our Together Groups by CAA Travel has just, we are now, I think, around for 1 year, and we're creating some very unique and special groups just for you for being a member. We've got some long stay Portugals that were very successful last year, so we're doing them again. You know, spending 3 weeks in Portugal when it's low season, no crowds, the temperatures are very, very comfortable. For the solo travelers, where you've got a solo Crete available for you, and the ever popular Rockies by Rail and Alaska by Sea with Holland America has sold out this year, so we've got another one going for next year. We've also introduced a long stay in Arizona because, of course, we know the temperature there is wonderful in the January time period. So as a member, you're going to be saving a minimum of $300 for being a member on our group travel. And they're very unique, you know, not anything that you're going to see in the marketplace, very unique experiences that we're putting together. And again, listening to our members' feedback, we're creating some new groups that you're going to find very exciting. So the solo Crete departure, this is just a quick peek. This is a very unique departure. It's built with this, there's basically no single supplement. So there are a lot of single travelers that basically want their own room now, and we've put together a very unique experience with lots of inclusions, meals, etc., included in this particular departure for next May of 2025. The long stay in Portugal. As I mentioned, what a great way to see the country, being in the Algarve and a little bit of time in Lisbon. And it's very easy to get around the country, whether you want to hop on the train and do a little bit of traveling, you know, or just being in the local area, taxis or Ubers. Very, very safe destination, fantastic food, wonderful people. And we've got quite a variety of departures available starting this November, January, February, March of next year, as well as the long stay Arizona to get you out of the cold for the winter season. So now over to Carrie, our manager of operations. Welcome, Carrie.
Thank you very much. What's trending in 2024? Our top destinations trending right now are USA for summer, so people are doing a lot of road trips, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Portugal, as you can see from our long stays, Cuba, Italy, the United Kingdom is another favorite for the summer, France, Ireland, and the Netherlands. Already have an upcoming trip? Please ensure you have your documentation is up to date. Your passport. Make sure that it has not expired. Lots of people quickly check it as they're about to board their flight. Make sure that it is valid. Some destinations need to have your passport valid 6 months after your departure date too. Check and see if you need visas, a tourist card. Register for Canadian traveling abroad. This is a key, and everybody should do this for no matter where you're traveling to, due to natural disasters or anything happening. When COVID hit, we had people all over the world, so it was great when people registered, we knew where they were and could contact them. Have a mobile device with a data plan. And before traveling, always check the latest travel advice and advisory information on travel.gc.ca. Now I'd like to introduce our Partner Relationship Manager, Nicholas Nardoza, and our Partner Relationship Specialist, Lindsay Taylor from Orion, to talk all about our travel insurance.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks, Terry.
Just wanted to thank
right.
North and East for having us come and speak to the members and potential clients. It's really great for us to be able to interact with you guys directly and show you guys all the value that CAA provides in their travel insurance offering. So I'll hand it off to Lindsay.
Before we get started, there is just one little question that's popped up. When will the slides be available? They will be on our website within the next day or two. So if you go on to caneo.ca and you go to the Travel Talks, you'll find this presentation.
All right, so peace of mind while traveling. So our goal at CAA and Orion is to ensure that you have peace of mind while traveling. We do provide up to $5 million of worldwide coverage, and we will speak to some of the coverages and benefits in the next few slides. When purchasing travel insurance, we do highly recommend looking at coverage with a minimum of $5 million. And our claims assistance team is available 24/7 to help you in the event of a medical emergency, regardless of where you are traveling to or where you are calling from. We do also offer optional deductibles to lower the cost of your premium. And we do also offer options for single trip plans, multi-trip, and as well as add-ons. And in addition, we have the membership savings. So if you are a CAA member, you have the opportunity to save up to 20% on your travel policy. So when we move into what's covered, so travel medical insurance is designed to cover for emergency situations. And that could be related to accident or sickness. And generally, most people, when they think of travel insurance, they generally think of only the illness. But again, it is covered for situations not only related to emergency illnesses, but also emergency accidents. So when an unforeseen emergency medical situation does occur, we do look at the entire situation and not just the medical emergency that's happened. For example, if you break a leg while traveling, what would be covered? So obviously we have our hospital and doctor's expenses. So that would include medications, surgery, any type of hospital fees. We do also, depending on the severity of the situation, there might be other coverages that would be related to the event that's happened. So if you do need to have your return of vehicle, that's something that we would look at as well to accommodate for you while you're in the hospital. And again, if you're not able to fly home on a standard flight back to your home province, we do look at having the air ambulance accommodated for you. So you will be traveling back on air ambulance with a medical team to make sure that your condition is stable and then you would get the further treatment back in your home province. There are other benefits, as you see listed here, in terms of even if you are somebody that travels with your pets. We do have that coverage where if we need to get your pets back home and you can't think about that to do all the details, then that is something that would be covered as well under the plan. So when we look at our multi-trip coverages, the multi-trip emergency medical plans are perfect for anybody that lives close to the border where you do some cross-border shopping or even obviously multiple trips outside of Canada. When we look at the multi-trip plans, they are a great option for most travelers. First of all, the multi-trip plan is a very convenient plan. You do only purchase it once, and it will provide you or your family coverage throughout the year. There is no need to let us know when you are traveling, so you can come and go freely within the duration that you've selected. So we do offer a 4-day as well as 8-day, 15 and 30-day and 60-day duration. Top-ups are also available. So if you do select a plan and on one particular trip you are traveling outside of the selected days, you can additionally buy extra insurance that would top up that particular trip. In addition, if you are someone who does take multiple trips throughout the year, potentially by the second trip, it will pay for itself. And then another added benefit is if you are someone who does travel a lot within Canada, this plan does provide unlimited travel within Canada. So for example, if you are looking to take a 30-day trip to another province in the summertime, instead of buying a single trip policy for 30 days where you would be charged a daily rate, you could purchase as an option a 4-day multi-trip plan. And that would provide you with unlimited coverage within Canada and also the added benefit of going in, if you would like, to the States for up to 4 days if desired. So for emergency medical insurance, so whenever you are traveling, we do believe that you do need to secure emergency medical insurance. As mentioned previously, the emergency medical insurance does cover directly related to the medical emergencies and sometimes indirectly. So these are just some more examples of the coverages that we provide. So again, up to 5 million Canadian coverage for medical expenses and non-medical expenses. So this could include hospital accommodation, physician fees, lab tests, x-rays, prescriptions, wheelchair rentals, as well as other minor medical appliances. It also covers some vision or hearing aid expenses. So if one is lost, broken, or stolen, that would be something that would be covered. As well as mentioned previously, return of vehicle, as well as family transportation. So if there is a need to have the family transferred to where you are currently in destination, we would bring them to your bedside if medically necessary. And then the pet care and commercial kennel costs. So we would cover emergency veterinary care costs for your pets, or if there was an injury to them, that's something else that we would look at to cover. So here are some examples of some of the averages that we see. So these situations are for sudden and unexpected medical emergencies, which again may be covered. So for emergency medical, we do require ongoing treatment. Medical treatment is provided to stabilize the medical emergency. And then if necessary, air ambulance or air transportation is arranged to cover you to a medical facility in your home province for ongoing or further treatment. So if we look at this example, simple policy that you could purchase could be as low as $25. And you would be at risk for paying out of pocket if you didn't have travel insurance. So if we look at the ear infection, we've seen claims coverages amount to $500 up to $2,700. Again, the air ambulance, that could range from 42,000 to 60,000. And again, you're only paying, again, as low as $25 depending on the length of your trip. So when we look at this next slide for an example of a vacation package, so just one thing to point out, for this one, it's not only insuring the medical portion. This particular package would be for a vacation package. So although the premium may look high of $900 and almost $50, it does also provide the trip cancellation and baggage insurance. So they are insuring, this particular family would be insuring the entirety of their trip, of the cruise. But this is just an example of what we've seen happen in our claims history. So the vacation package was purchased. The child got ill on a cruise, and the doctor on the cruise diagnosed the child with tonsillitis. The medical cost for the claim ended up being almost $55,000. And what potentially could have happened was that there wasn't, as if they were directed to the local ER, the surgical facilities were not available or limited. So the air ambulance had to be come in, and they arranged the flight back to Canada for surgery in home with the family on board. So even though it may seem like a lot in terms of a vacation package premium, if there is an event of a claim as simple as tonsillitis, it could end up costing you quite a lot to cover the medical cost. And with that, I'm going to pass it along to Nick.
All right, we have a couple of questions in here. So somebody is asking for more information about CREEP. So at the very end slide, we do have a link to all of the groups. But if you want to just pop your name in, I'll be certain to get some information over to you. And then somebody is asking, they have purchased CAA Travel Insurance a few months ago for a trip to Costa Rica, but I can't remember if I purchased the insurance for that trip or a multi-trip plan. How do I find out? The person I purchased it from? Absolutely, your travel counselor would be the best person to go back to, or we'd be happy to get in touch with you and check your policy as well.
Exactly.
Next question, why suggest coverage for $5 million when the Orion 2023 claims suggest amounts for much less?
It's a great question, and I'll explain. So the slide that Lindsay was talking to, when you saw maybe just some averages for something like a heart attack, right? I think a lot of us, when we're traveling, I think immediately our brains say, oh, what if I have a heart attack while I'm in Florida, right? That's kind of like the big cover story that we see a lot of. Those numbers were just averages. We've actually seen those situations. So let's say there's a heart attack, and then there's an angioplasty, and that angioplasty fails, and that requires open heart surgery, and then ICU, and you got to stay at the hospital for a month or two. We've seen claims related to heart conditions go way over $1 million. We've actually seen claims in the industry over the last number of years go over the $2 million threshold. So I can tell you, about 10 years ago, I would say most carriers were providing $2 million of coverage. With the costs of medical treatment in the States going up every year, we're slowly having to move that threshold to make sure that we're providing enough coverage, even for these one-offs. I would tell you that $1 million of coverage for a lot of situations would be more than enough. But we have seen claims go over $1 million and even $2 million at this point, which is why we suggest a minimum of $5 million. Some group plans might limit you to $500,000 of coverage. Some credit cards, that if you rely on credit cards for your travel insurance coverage, they might limit you to $500,000. It's just simply not enough now in 2024. And that's what insurance is about, right? It's covering that unforeseen emergent situation, and we never know how severe that could be. So that's why we suggest the minimum of $5 million.
Right.
That's all the questions. We can move forward.
That's it for now.
Yes, it is
Okay,
for
great,
now.
great. Cool. So this is a big question that we get asked from a lot of travelers. So do I need medical insurance while traveling within Canada? The answer is yes. There's a lot of things while you're traveling. Like as Canadians, we think if we're going from one province to the next that we're covered by our universal healthcare plan, which is true in some ways, but there are a lot of things that are still not covered. So things like prescriptions, ambulance, ground, or air. Ground ambulance, not too expensive. Air ambulance could be very expensive, especially kind of goes with the distance that the air ambulance has to travel. And Canada is really big. So if we have to bring you from one province to another, it gets very, very pricey very quickly. So an air ambulance, I would say on average would start probably around 25 grand and could be as expensive as 70 grand, 75 grand. Things like semi-private hospital rooms, all the ancillary fees related to the hospitalization, those are things that are not covered by your government healthcare plan, which is why we suggest to purchase medical insurance while you're traveling within Canada. The good news is that the premiums that we calculate for the in Canada travel are highly discounted for the fact that the majority of the expenses are covered by your provincial healthcare plan. So these policies are very, very inexpensive and will provide you the peace of mind knowing that you're not going to have to pay for prescriptions or potentially air ambulance while you're traveling to another province. And as Lindsay mentioned, when we were talking about the multi-trip annual plans, if you're somebody that does a lot of travel within Canada to a bunch of different provinces, that 4-day multi-trip plan is the way to go. It covers you for all of your plans, any trip that you want to take within Canada, and it gives you that 4 days out of country if you wish to use it. If you want to go across the border for a weekend, you'll have the coverage for that. And if you want to go to British Columbia for 6 months straight, that 4-day multi-trip plan will cover you for that entire duration. So this is just an example of some of the things that you would have to pay. Let's say you get a broken leg while traveling in another province. So the ambulance to the hospital, the semi-private hospitalization room, the crutches, the medications, painkillers. You're likely not going to be driving your car back home if you drove to that other province. The airfare home if needed, repatriating you back to your home province, return of pets, some of the things that Lindsay mentioned. So as an insurer and as CAA, we want to look at the entirety of the situation. We're not just looking at you in the hospital with your broken leg. We're looking at all of the challenges that you're going to have to face after having broken your leg. And we try to introduce benefits related to that. Unfortunately, a lot of those things, as I mentioned earlier, are not covered by your provincial healthcare plans, which is why there is a need to purchase additional medical insurance while you're traveling within Canada. Extended coverage and riders. So what we try to do at CAA is offer you guys more choice and control over your insurance. So there's a lot of things that you could do with us. Let's say you have a group plan or you have a plan with another carrier and you're looking for a top up. So you have 30 days with another carrier, but you have a 60-day trip. You could call CAA to purchase the additional 30 days that you need. And in addition to that, we offer a number of different riders. So we have a pre-existing condition rider. I'm going to cover that off in a couple slides. We introduced recently an adventurous air activities rider. So we saw that a lot of traveling Canadians were interested in doing things like helicopter excursions and hot air ballooning. Those were things generally excluded by the industry, but we introduced this rider. So if you're planning on partaking in those activities, speak to your CAA representative about those options, as well as a sport and speed rider. So there's a lot of essentially the general exclusion of the industry for all of the carriers is if you're participating in a sport as a professional, it's a general exclusion. So if you get hurt while you're playing or practicing that sport, it's not something that's covered. This rider will come in and provide coverage for that. And the speed riders, so motorized speed contests, something once again that is a general exclusion across the industry. It's very hard to find coverage for that. But our goal is to offer you that additional choice and those additional options. So that's something that is available at CAA, as well as rental vehicle damage insurance. So if ever you are renting a car during your trip, we have a great plan. There's no maximum age, covers up to 60 days of that rental, up to $80,000. Pre-existing medical conditions. Okay, so this is a big one. This is one of the main reasons why claims are denied in the industry. So I really want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of what we mean. One, by pre-existing medical conditions. Also, what do we mean by stability? And what options are available to you in case you have an unstable pre-existing medical condition? So an existing medical condition, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's any medical condition that you have prior to your departure date, right? Whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, heart conditions, lung conditions, any one of those, right? Now, normally in the industry, insurers take various stances around pre-existing medical conditions. You have some credit card companies, potentially even some group plans, generally not on the group plan side, but a lot of the times on the credit card side, they'll say we don't cover pre-existing medical conditions. So if you're relying on that type of coverage, but you are somebody with, let's say, diabetes, and something goes wrong related to that diabetes while you're on a trip, you might be responsible for paying that hospital bill. I would say the standard in the industry, you'll see most of the time, is 6 months. So we ask for 180 days prior to departure for your condition to be stable in order to cover that condition. At CAA, for people age 69 and under, we reduce that down to 3 months. So that's another advantage. We're trying to be as open as possible when it comes to covering the pre-existing medical conditions. So as long as you have that stability in either 3 or 6 months, depending on your age, all of your pre-existing medical conditions would be covered through the CAA plan. What do we mean by stable? So this is something that is misunderstood generally as well by a lot of Canadians, because you'll go see your doctor and maybe you've been treated for high blood pressure for the last 20 years or diabetes for the last 10 years. And your doctor's going to tell you you're stable, you're stable, you're stable, which from a medical perspective, you likely are. From your doctor's perspective, you would be considered stable. However, if your doctor says you're stable, you're leaving on a vacation in a month, but I'm going to change your medication, or I'm going to increase the dosage or the frequency of your medication. From an insurer's perspective, that changes the condition and no longer meets the definition of stability. So stable from an insurance perspective means no changes to your medications, your treatments, dosage, frequencies, no medication change of the type of medication that you're taking, no investigative testing, no new tests, no new symptoms. Really just has to, stable means the same, essentially, right? No changes whatsoever. Now, if you're in a situation where you have an upcoming trip and you do not meet that definition of stability for one of your pre-existing conditions in either that 3 or 6 month period, we have the pre-existing condition rider. So speak to your representative about it. Something that will further reduce that 6 months or that 3 months down to 7 days. So you only need to be stable in the 7 days before you go, and we'll provide you up to $200,000 of coverage for that unstable pre-existing medical condition. Now, if I'm honest, if I were to say, if you have a heart condition, let's say you had a heart attack 2 weeks ago and you want to leave in a week from now, you can purchase this rider. We'll give you the $200,000 for your heart condition. You're rolling the dice a little bit on that decision. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't recommend it. It is an option available for you if you absolutely want to go, and you will have some coverage. But once again, we saw with some of the numbers that Lindsay presented earlier that $200,000 of coverage for something that could be as serious as a heart condition might not be sufficient, right? But let's say a knee replacement, right? You had a knee replacement a few weeks back. Every other insurance company is telling you you're not covered for anything related to your knee. You could contact CAA and get that $200,000 of coverage for anything related to that knee surgery that you had. And I could tell you for, let's say, complications related to a knee replacement, $200,000 of coverage should be more than enough, no matter where you're going. So this is just, once again, another option to provide to you guys in case you don't meet that stability requirement.
Okay, Nick, we've got a couple of questions that came in. Do you have to be stable before the 3 months prior to your booking date?
It's departure date.
Okay.
It is your departure date, yeah.
Great. Could you elaborate on the rental vehicle damage insurance in regards to when the car rental is saying bumpers, side mirrors are in addition to? This is for a car rental in France.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not going to lie, the rental vehicle damage waiver that we sell is somewhat of a new product, and I'm not too familiar with all of the limitations or restrictions or all of the benefits and how that would work with the rental agency that you're dealing with. I would recommend contacting a CAA representative to get the details on that.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Cool. Cancellation and interruption. So this is a big one. And obviously we saw since the pandemic, all the challenges that travel suppliers, so Air Canada and WestJet and all of these guys, that they can face regarding delays or cancellations or interruptions, right? So this is a very good thing to think about purchasing. This is above and beyond the medical insurance. As Lindsay mentioned, the medical insurance is your base, right? You can't go without it. You need at least the medical insurance. Now, the trip cancellation is really there to protect the investment that you made on your trip. So if something, let's say you book your trip, you're planning on leaving in 3 months, something unforeseen happens within that time frame. So when you book up until the time that you're supposed to leave, that changes your travel plans. Either you're sick, a family member sick, something happened to the home, you're no longer able to go on your trip as planned, the trip cancellation is there to cover the non-refundable portion of your trip, which is the majority of the value of that trip is non-refundable in most cases. So we highly suggest purchasing the cancellation and interruption insurance. Interruption is after you've left. So let's say everything is good, you book your trip, you're able to leave, but while you're on your trip, something happens at home, a fire, flood, a family member is hospitalized, God forbid, and you need to get back home. This is going to make sure that once again, you don't lose the investment that you made on some of that non-refundable portion of your trip. You haven't finished your trip, right? There's still some value there. You're going to get that back as well as a flight back home. Okay, so when we combine this with our emergency medical insurance, it's called a package plan.
Okay, Nick, before you carry
sure.
on, we do have a couple more questions that came in. So first of all, I'm just going to backtrack to Nicole, who asked about the vehicle rental damage. We'll have somebody get in touch with you just for the specifics on that one. And then Tanya's asking us, so I have public service health care plan, travel, and emergency assistance benefits. Can people do a top up for the 5 million?
No. And so if you're saying you only have $1 million or $2 million of coverage and you want that 5 million, we wouldn't be able to just top up, let's say, the 3 million or 4 million that you're looking to increase. Unfortunately, we don't have a product that's built that way. We'd have to cover you from day one of your trip.
Okay, and then she's also asking, what about insurance coverage for canceled flights, acts of nature, pilot strike, etc.?
Yep, some of those things are covered through our cancellation benefits. So if the strike, let's say you booked your trip and then you had no idea the strike was happening and then they go on strike, right? That's something that is unforeseen, outside of your control, and there are benefits related to that. Same thing to do with weather, right? If weather is the reason for either the cancellation or the interruption, it is something that there are benefits payable through those package plans.
Great, thank you. And Tanya, I will send you that information on the solo group travel. That's it for now.
Just some trip timelines here. So let's say you book your trip right away after booking your trip, or as soon as the penalties come into play. That's when you should look at securing your trip cancellation insurance, right? Then you would hopefully leave. Everything went as planned. You never needed your trip cancellation. Great. But this is where the interruption benefits start. So if at the time, right after you leave your house, essentially, or at the airport, if something happens that causes an interruption in your trip, that's where those benefits would apply. As well, the same timeline is where your emergency medical benefits come into play if you're at a destination, and then your return date. So it's very important on the trip cancellation piece to buy it as soon as you book your trip. There are specific benefits that you'll get if you purchase that insurance within 72 hours of that booking. So. The CAA difference. So some exclusive benefits to CAA travel insurance. We have benefits such as cancel for any other reason. And this is the one that I was referring to. If you purchase the insurance within 72 hours of your trip booking, you have access to this. And there's an added benefit. If you book your trip through CAA, through the CAA travel agency, we'll give you more coverage. So for example, if you don't book through CAA, you buy the insurance, you book your trip, you buy the insurance through CAA, you have that cancel for any other reason benefit that will pay you back for 50% of the value of your trip. However, if you purchase your trip through CAA, we'll bump that up to 75% of the value. And when we say cancel for any other reason, it's really that. If you wake up and I have a bad hair day, I don't feel like going on vacation anymore, or I don't love my boyfriend anymore, I don't love my girlfriend anymore, you're able to cancel your trip and get some of your money back. Same thing for interruption for any other reason. So this is something that will apply if you book that insurance policy within 72 hours of your trip booking. If you get to your hotel and you don't like the curtains and you don't like the mattress and you want to come back home, that's something that's covered as well. Denied boarding and denied entry. This is something that was very prevalent throughout the pandemic. As soon as you had a fever, they weren't allowing you on a flight, right? So probably not as pertinent nowadays. A lot of those restrictions seem to have been lifted in most cases. But the benefit is there in case you are denied boarding or denied entry into your destination. And we have something that we call bounce back. So bounce back is good. If ever you get to your destination, everything is fine. But once again, something happens at home. Maybe there's a death in the family. You'd like to attend the funeral. This would bring you back to your home province. allow you the time to deal with your affairs while you're at home, and then return you to your destination to finish off the rest of your trip. So that's another really, really good benefit. Once again, it kind of ties into the fact that we're trying to look at all of the challenges that a Canadian traveler might face while something happens, not only just to them, maybe to their home or to their family. And how can CAA come in and provide some protection in that situation? Here's just an example of an interruption. So a winter storm that hits the airport, very likely to happen where we live, right? Vacation package came out to $234. Something as unforeseen as a winter storm, or actually might be pretty foreseen where we live, but does happen quite often. Came and paid a claim that was $7,000. So I know people say the insurance is expensive, costs a lot of money. I know disposable income in this economy, it doesn't come around a lot. But once again, there's a lot of these things that could happen. We don't like to think of the negative things that could happen while we're planning our trip or booking our trip, but there are very real risks, and the insurance is there to come and take care of you in case one of these events occur. I'll pass it off to Lindsay for some of the frequently asked questions that we get around the travel insurance.
Okay, so some of the frequent questions, as Nick said, that we've seen come in, one of them being, do you need to be a CAA member to purchase? The answer would be no. Anyone can anyone can purchase the travel insurance through CAA, so you do not need to be a CAA member to purchase. And then, as mentioned previously, yes, there are discounts for CAA members. So depending on what your membership level is at, you can save up to 20% on your policy. And in terms of how much does it cost to be a CAA member, so you can purchase or you can be a member at just $30 a year plus tax. And in terms of where can you purchase travel insurance? So if you would like to purchase or get a quote, you can go online at insureyourtrip.ca, or you can definitely go into a CAA store or call and speak to a travel consultant, and they can give you more information. Another question that came through was a scenario of where we paid a $250 deposit for our trip and the balance is due in 3 months. So when do we need to buy our cancellation insurance to be eligible for the cancel for any reason? So as Nick had mentioned, going through his slides, to be eligible for the cancel for any reason, you would need to purchase your insurance within 72 hours of making your booking. And then a couple more, one being, do I need extra travel medical insurance when I travel outside my home province in Canada? Again, as mentioned in the previous slides, we do recommend, yes, while the provincial healthcare plans do cover most medical expenses. So again, for example, hospital stay and doctor's visits, they don't cover expenses such as ground or air ambulance transportation, prescriptions, semi-private rooms at hospitals. So we do definitely recommend you do purchase when traveling outside of Canada, or outside of your province, I should say. And then, do I need 2 different multi-trip policies if I travel throughout the year in Canada and outside of Canada? So no, you do not need to purchase 2 policies. You would simply purchase one multi-trip policy, whether that be a medical plan or a vacation package. That would cover you within travel within Canada and internationally. So wherever you're traveling to, if you are traveling outside of Canada and you purchase a multi-trip, for example, once you return home, you can literally fly out the next day or same day. You just have to come back and then it resets for the next day. So if you purchase an 8-day trip, once you come home, you can technically leave and go on another 8-day trip. And then the last question on multi-trip plans, how many days are required back in your home province, as previously mentioned. So there is no requirement to stay in your home province for a number of days before going on your next trip. So again, it is dependent on the day selection or duration that you've selected, so whether it be 4, 8, 15, 30, or 60. You can, again, travel within Canada. It's unlimited with a multi-trip plan.
That was a lot of great information, and as everyone knows, it's total peace of mind, especially that annual trip plan. If you're doing a couple of trips a year, you can, do it all at once and forget about it for the year. So there's some great suggestions. And of course, the cancellation interruption is so important to protect your financial investment of your trip. And of course, we've seen today all the incredible benefits of the emergency medical insurance. So we don't have any additional questions at the moment, but please feel free to drop them in the little Q&A box there. So with CAA Travel, you can definitely travel confidently with us. We are here to help you every single step of the way. Our travel consultants have all done some extensive training. They're very knowledgeable on travel insurance, and they're going to do all the research, and our travel team have all been there. We're traveling, we're finding out the best places, the unique spots, and are ready to share that great information with you. So you'll have easy access to all the destination details, whether you need a visa for a certain destination. They'll keep you up to date on schedule changes and cancellations, because although they've gotten a lot better, they're still happening out there. And of course, we're going to save you time and money, and you've got exclusive access to our member benefits. The CAA member benefits are not found anywhere else when you're booking your cruises and your tours with us. And of course, the extensive saving on your travel medical insurance, which of course we say is the most important thing that you pack. So we do have another question that's just popped in here. And if I understand the travel insurance, if I purchase a multi-trip plan, if I am 14 days outside of Canada, then go to another province for 7 to 10 days without coming back home, would you suggest I select the 15-day plan or the 30-day to cover the continuous travel plan until I come back to my home province?
It's a good question. It's what we get a lot. Lindsay, can you remind me if the multi-trip plan states the travelers have to go back to their home province or just to Canada?
I believe it's to their home province, yes.
So yes, in that case, that would be considered more than a 15-day trip. So I would say, actually, would they need the 15-day annual on that, Lindsay, or?
If the question was, sorry, it was 14 days outside of Canada and then coming back in
To another province, not the home
yeah.
province.
Yeah.
I would suggest the 15-day plan. Yeah.
And before returning to the States, they would have to go back to their home province to restart that 15 days, right? Because
Yes.
yes, okay. So yeah, the 15-day plan would, so you would be covered for up to 15 days outside of Canada. Once you return to Canada, even if it's not your home province, you have unlimited travel while you're in there. But if you wanted to go back to the States before going back home, that's where that 15 days wouldn't have restarted. So we would suggest for that specific plan type, I would say go for the 15-day plan. If you were planning on, let's say, going back to the States, then the 30-day plan would probably be more appropriate.
Okay, great. The little QR code you're going to see on the left-hand side of your screen there. If you just hover your phone over that, you can see all of our CAA group departures, including that solo Crete we spoke of earlier, and the incredible long stay Portugals. If you want to get a CAA travel quote, you can actually hit the QR code there in the center of the screen. And with our CAA travel team, we want to make it super easy for you. You can book an appointment for when it's convenient for you. You can either come into the store, or we can do it over the phone or by email, whatever works for you. And just click the QR code there to make an appointment. All right, so if anyone doesn't have any further questions, I want to thank you all very much for joining us today. Carrie and Lindsay and Nick, appreciate your time. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.